Every year, millions of people walk into a store or open a browser and type in the same words: OLED versus QLED. Which is better? And every year, they get the same answer from the same kind of video: black levels, brightness, burn-in, price. One gets crowned the winner and one gets crowned the loser. But that answer is wrong. Not because the facts are wrong, because there is no one winner. The best TV isn't the best TV. It's the best TV for your room and your situation. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one that is. I'm Michael Scott from Ultimate Tech Hub, and I've been reviewing TVs for years, and I want to help you make the best decision. So instead of asking OLED or QLED which one is better, I'm going to show you what QLED actually is, which is not what most people think. I'm also going to sell the burn-in question with some real data, not fear. And lastly, I'm going to give you 3 questions that will tell you which technology is right for your situation, because the answer is not the same for everyone. It never was. Before we compare anything, we need to understand what you're actually comparing, because one of these names is genuinely misleading. OLED, which stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode, which means every pixel in an OLED panel produces its own light. Each one turns on and off independently. When a pixel needs to show black, it turns off completely. No light, true black. That is the fundamental advantage of OLED. It's not about the image on top, it's about the absence of the light underneath. QLED, also known as Quantum Dot Light Emitting Diode, and that name sounds like a direct competitor to OLED. But it's not. A QLED, at its core, is a standard LCD television with a backlight. That backlight shines through a layer of quantum dots, microscopic crystals that produce purer, more saturated colors than standard color filters, and then through a liquid crystal filter to create the image. These quantum dots improve the colors, but the backlight is still there, behind everything, shining all the time. Samsung invented the QLED name in 2017. It's their marketing term for premium LCD televisions. And that's not an insult, those TVs are genuinely good. But the name was designed to sit along OLED in stores and sound like a direct equivalent. But it's not. One technology produces its own light at the pixel level, the other filters a backlight. They are different in the most fundamental way a display can be different. But why does this matter? Because it explains every single difference you will read between these two technologies. Black levels, local dimming, blooming around bright objects, viewing angles, every one of these differences flows from this one fact. OLED pixels turn off, QLED pixels filter a light that never turns off. Now that you know what we're actually comparing, let's talk about what this means in your living room. Here's the thing about the OLED versus QLED debate that every video skips. The right answer depends entirely on your situation. Not on specs and not on a review score, but on 3 specific things about how you actually watch television. Question 1, how much light is in the room where the TV is going to live? Not what you prefer, but what actually is there. We're talking about sunlight through windows, overhead lights on during the day, a bright open living space versus a dim bedroom or basement home theater. Question number 2, what are you going to watch on it? Movies and scripted TV mostly? How about sports or news running in the background for hours? Or even gaming? This answer changes which technology performs better for your situation. Question number 3, are you still afraid of the OLED burn-in? Because if you are, that fear might be keeping you on a worse TV for the wrong reasons. And we're going to look at the actual data on that right now. 3 questions, let me walk you through each one. So let's start with question number 1, how bright is your room? This is the question that decides more TV purchases than any spec comparison. And it is rarely asked directly. Did that sales guy at Best Buy even ask you? Probably not. OLED panels produce extraordinary images, but they have a ceiling on peak brightness. The best OLED TVs in 2026 hit somewhere between 800 and 1500 nits of peak brightness on small highlights. Modern high-end QLEDs and mini LED panels can exceed 2000 to 3000 nits. Wow. In a dark room, that difference is mostly irrelevant and both look spectacular. In a bright room, with sunlight coming through the windows, that brightness ceiling in OLED is a real limitation. The images wash out and the colors lose their impact. The contrast that makes OLED special in a dim environment becomes harder to see. If this TV is going to sit in a bright living room with windows, or if the lights are on most of the time while you're watching, a good QLED or mini LED panel handles the environment better. It is brighter and it holds contrast better in high ambient light, and best of all, it doesn't fight the room. If this TV is going into a bedroom, a basement, or a dedicated viewing room like a home theater, OLED earns its price. In those conditions, the perfect blacks and the contrast they create produces images that no backlight panel can match. Dark scenes in films, the letterbox bars around a widescreen movie, the depth in a shadow face. OLED handles it all in a way that fundamentally changes how the image looks. The same TV looks different depending on where you put it. Most reviewers don't tell you that directly, but now you know. Alright, on to question number 2, what are you watching? Not all content is the same, and not all content favors the same technology. Movies and prestige TV, anything shot cinematically with dark scenes and wide contrast range, OLED is in its element. These self-emissive pixels mean the director's intent comes through exactly as intended. When a scene is supposed to be dark, it's dark. When a highlight is supposed to glow, it glows against a background that is genuinely black. This is why cinematographers, colorists, and serious home theater people have been buying OLED for years. OLEDs can look amazing. The image fidelity is simply closer to what the content was designed to look like. But watching sports is different. Sports is bright, fast, and often watched in a lit room. The high ambient brightness of a QLED works in its favor here. Fast motion on a high brightness QLED panel in a bright room, watched casually, that experience is very good and very practical. Now gaming deserves its own honest answer. OLED has become exceptional for gaming. The pixel level response of an OLED compared to the response of an LCD panel is a genuine advantage for fast games. The contrast makes dark environments in games look dramatically better. But if you game in a bright room during the day, the brightness ceiling of an OLED is a practical limitation. Gaming in a dark room, OLED wins. Gaming in a sunlit bedroom, the brightness advantage of a good QLED matters. But what about news and talk television? This is where OLED requires a small amount of awareness. Static logos, ticker bars, network bugs, these elements sit in the same position for hours at a time. Modern OLED burn-in protection handles this well for most people, but it's worth knowing about. Which brings us to question number 3. Is OLED burn-in still a real concern in 2026? This is the question I get asked more than any other on this topic, and it deserves a direct answer instead of the hedged non-answer most channels give. Burn-in is real. It's a physical process where OLED pixels that display the same image at the same brightness for extended periods develop uneven wear over time. That is not a myth, it happens. What is outdated is the fear that it will happen to you under normal use. The data says otherwise. The YouTube channel Our-Teens has been running continuous OLED burn-in tests since 2018. Their data on modern panels showed that under mixed-use viewing, different channels, streaming services, games, content that changes, modern OLED panels show no visible burn-in under normal conditions. The protection systems built into every modern OLED, pixel shifting, automatic brightness adjustment, static element detection, panel compensation cycles that run during standby, have matured significantly since the early days. For instance, LG covers burn-in under warranty on their OLED lineup. However, manufacturers do not warranty defects they expect to be common. That warranty is a signal about what LG's own internal data shows. The burn-in scenarios that have been documented under testing require extreme, sustained, deliberately punishing usage, like a single news channel running for 10 or more hours a day for months on end, with all protection features disabled. This is not how most people watch television. The practical answer: if you watch varied content, movies, streaming, different channels, gaming, sports in rotation, burn-in is not a realistic concern on any modern OLED. Plain and simple. If you leave one static channel running all day, every day, buy a QLED and don't think about it again. But really, who's doing that at home anyways? This burn-in concern has kept a lot of people on worse TVs for years. I would rather have the actual information and make my own call. So here's the honest recommendation, and this is not a sponsored video. Rather than declare a winner between two technologies that serve different situations, here is how I would use those 3 questions to make a decision right now. In a bright room, mix of sports and general programming, a good QLED or mini LED is the right choice. With the price range between $800 and $1,500 is the sweet spot. The Samsung QN90D and the TCL QM8 are the panels I would choose for this situation. They're bright, practical, and burn-in is not a factor, and links are in the description. Now, in a controlled or dim environment, and you care about the quality of what you're watching, movies, prestige TV, or gaming in a dark room, OLED is worth the price difference. It's amazing. And the LG C5 is my choice for this situation. Best balance of price, panel quality, and features currently available. If your budget is less of a concern, the LG G5 and Samsung S95F are exceptional. Links in the description. So what if you watch everything from sports, news, gaming, a bright room sometimes, maybe a dim room other times, and you want one TV that handles it all? So what should you get? I recommend a mid-range QLED. With full array local dimming, it's the most practical choice. It will not deliver the best image in any single category, but it will deliver a good image across all of them. Remember, the right TV is the one that fits your room, your content, and your budget. So guys and gals, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.